Everybody's. Well, then we might as well just go home then. No sarcasm from behind the veil, please. Welcome to Metro. Those of you who are logging on, welcome to you as well. Glad that you're here. I'm always glad to have you. Ken's on call, so his seat is unoccupied. Glad to have Jeff and Marty back from. He just, if you didn't hear him say this, they travel a lot, and so I always, when I'm making some remark about it, I'm like, yeah, they're off in Fiji or somewhere. He said we had never actually been to Fiji, but now we went. I said, so I spoke it into existence. I meant that's obedience. You know what I mean? They said, Bishop said we're going to Fiji. I guess we got to go. But I hear, and also they're going to be tariffed now. So, because you know that Fiji, you know they've been ripping us off. But yes, I've heard. Thank God somebody finally did something about Fiji. And we're going to war with those Canadians. Oh, sorry. See, I thought I wouldn't do this. That's why I stay back there. But I live in a house where Fox News goes 24 hours, so I'm, yeah, well, you know. And look at me, I'm smiling, and it's you'll understand some of my sermon today. But it's all good. It's all good. I hope I haven't already alienated some of my audience. Please come back. Please, if I just alienated you, come back. I'll try not to say anything else. They started it because they went to Fiji. We are in the presence of God. Where can we go from the presence of God? God, our heavenly parent, our Father God, our Mother God, the one revealed to us through Jesus Christ, but now known to us by the Holy Spirit. We honor that presence, that higher power, that intelligent design, that divinity. And as David said, where can we go from your presence? You know our down sitting and our uprising. There's not a word in our tongue that you don't know altogether. If we were to number the thoughts you have toward us, they are more than the sand of the sea. And today we are especially grateful for that. Thank you. We enter your gates with thanksgiving and into your courts with praise. And we honor this synergistic gathering of people where two or more are gathered together. There is a special dimension that happens. What we call the Christ, the presence, happens when two or more are gathered together for a commonality. I thank you for a blessing on this day. Let us do and say things that will make a positive difference in the cosmos. And we thank you for it today. Please remain standing. Let's do the prayer. Our Father who art in heaven, presence of divine love and light that lives within us and within all of life, hallowed be thy name. We invoke the powerful creative nature of all that is sacred and holy. Thy kingdom come. We embrace the healing essence that is the kingdom of heaven within us. Thy will be done. We accept our greatest good as we align with our divine nature, on earth as it is in heaven, knowing that the affairs of our lives reflect our evolving consciousness. Give us this day our daily bread. Each day we receive great blessings from within and throughout all the activities of our lives. And forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. We accept the divine nature of all things and all people, including ourselves, as we move away from judgment and toward greater awareness of divine presence. And lead us not into temptation. We shall be vigilant in expressing and experiencing the oneness with all life. But deliver us from evil, as we are learning to live without fault-finding and suffering. For thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever and ever. For we accept the consciousness of divine perfection with all its power and glory right here, right now, and forever. Amen. And so it is. Tell the person next to you, there's nobody I'd rather sit next to than you. And then you may be seated, please. Hey, Crystal, how you doing? Come in. Hello, hello. What's up? Come in, come in, come in, come in. Welcome. Hope everybody's enjoying the beautiful spring. I forgot that I'm referring to it as my smoke rise house now. Howie said to me the other day, he said, you're living there and your mom's living with you. I said, yeah, you know what? You're right. And I forgot how beautiful the azaleas are in the yard. Even this morning when I got up, opened the blinds, there's the purple ones and the red and white ones, and they're just gorgeous. And that one of those, I always call them tulip trees, but there's another word for them. They look like, they look like those pink tulips. There's a big one of those, and a dogwood tree, and those are my dad's knockout roses that were around the mailbox in their back. And it's just, it's amazing. If you had looked at that yard 6 weeks ago and said there's going to be all this color, it would have seemed impossible. Like, well, what are you talking about? But there it is. And it just shows you that, when it's supposed to happen, it happens. Y'all come on in. And and I want to thank you for those of you that sent something for my birthday. I appreciate that. My birthday was Thursday, and it was wonderful. And it's still my birthday week, so if you hadn't stepped up, there's still time. I got all the cash apps. And stop saying, I don't know which one is yours. Yeah, you do. I only have one PayPal. I only got one Cash App. If you don't know what it is, it means you ain't ever used it. So, but those of you that did, I appreciate it. And I can't imagine how this week could have been any better. Wednesday night, I went over to, I always get together with my boys on Wednesday nights. And we went over to Jonah's house, and it was just, Sophie had an engagement, so she didn't come in till later. But come on in. He had me a beautiful cake, and y'all come on in. Come on. I know, I heard you. What was I saying? So I go, they went around the table, and I listened to we always do this, at our birthdays, we always affirm each other. And I listened to the things my 3 adults said to me, and I thought, I don't know that people would hear this kind of stuff at the eulogy at their funeral. I mean, I don't know if they would hear their funeral, but I mean, this is amazing. Yes, I know, yes. Cardiologist telling me, don't forget you're coming in the morning. Like, I know, leave me alone, Dr. Son. That is his name. I think he's Vietnamese. But anyway, that was great. And then Sophie came in, and she looks great, but she looks like she's about to pop. The baby's due on the 26th, actually could come any minute and be fine, which I'll announce in a minute, but did not occur to me till last week that meditation weekend is her due date. But I don't feel like it's going to be problematic. I don't feel like I should cancel it. Jonah actually said, I would like this baby to be born. Come on in, Will. I'd like for this baby to be born at least by the 19th because I want her to be an Aries. I said, look, that would work great for me. If I'm all in agreement, which let me say, I forgot to say this last week. Heather's birthday is the same day as mine. And she wants to make it clear we are not twins not because color difference, because she says, you're so much older than me. I'm like, you've made your point. All right, let's go get it. I'll walk out there with you. Heather and I'll be right back. I got to hold you accountable. Come on, Heather. Throw me your car keys. That was cool. I texted her happy birthday, and she said, God is my witness. I was just texting you. And I was like, synchronicity, even though we're not twins. But the other thing that was great, I've done paintings for all of my granddaughters. Sophia's about to graduate from high school. She still has the painting that I did for her before she was born on her wall. But also, I'm very sensitive to my, it was different doing it for my daughter's daughters, but I adore my daughter-in-law. But I also know, when you're putting together a nursery, that's a very personal thing. And I don't want to schlep in some big painting that they feel responsible to put up, So I was a little, not nervous about it, but I was just, anyway, I did a painting. It's with her name. I won't say her name till she's born. But they loved it. Sophie totally got it. She understood how much, oh my God, you use metallics, and look, there's her name right there, and there's this and that. And she said, if you turn this way, the colors turn. I said, oh my God, I used interference paint. I can't believe you noticed. You're totally my favorite now. And so they're putting it up in the nursery. So that was great. Just had the best time. And then Thursday night, Kim was announced to me last Saturday as we were cleaning out the garage at my house in Smoke Rise, that he was on call all week. And I said, excuse me, our 13th anniversary is Tuesday and my birthday's Thursday and you're on call? And he said, well, I had to work for Alan. And you don't want to hear the expletive I said about Alan. Say what Alan did. Anyway, I said, if you told me, we could have gone out tonight. It's too late now. So anyway, he got somebody to work for him Thursday and came. We went to Houston's, and it was wonderful. And then I brought him back over to the house, and he had to fix things. Because I had the two bathrooms upstairs. I had them repainted, and they didn't turn the lights back on. I don't know if you ever tried to take a shower in the darkness. It's very interesting. So I told him, I said, I hate to make you work this late, but you've got to get these lights on because he's not going to be back here till Tuesday. So he did. I mean, he worked his usual miracle, and so that was awesome. And then I posted about this yesterday. This was like one of my favorite things that ever happened. I don't know if you know about the Leo Frank story. It's he was the only white man ever to be lynched, and it's a very interesting. It's a true Atlanta story about anti-Semitism, and I've been obsessed with this story for years, and so they made a Broadway musical about it. So I really wanted to see that, and I knew Kim was going to be on call, and I thought, I'm buying tickets for this thing. I don't care. If I have to go see it by myself, or I'll ask LaDonna to go or somebody. So I bought tickets, and then last Sunday, I think I shared this with you. The woman that was my teacher, she insists that I call her Louisa. It's so hard to do that because she's been Mrs. Moffat to me since 1973. And she still calls me Jimmy because that's what everybody called me in high school. But I texted her last Sunday and I said, look, I'm sure you're familiar with the Leo Frank story. I want to go see this show I want to see Parade. Ken's on call this week. I bought 2 tickets. I wanted to offer for you first to go. And she texted right back, says, oh my God, I would love to. I really wanted to see that and just couldn't work it out. I said, oh, this is great. So I got a matinee and it was wonderful. So yesterday, we were going to meet across the street from the Fox. And it took her a while to get there, but it was like, I did not know she had a heart attack 2 weeks ago. I said, if I had known that, I might not have asked you. She says, no, I'm fine, but this is my first time out. And which made me nervous. I'm like, okay, when we got seated at the Fox, I told her, I said, if you need to get up or leave or whatever, tell me and we're out of here. But she was fine. And I had no idea, because I hadn't talked to her in a while, I had no idea that had happened. But it was great because I love her so much. She's one of the most influential people in my life, and she knew a lot. She's the only person I've ever met that knows more Atlanta history than I do. Well, not more. As much as we can speak as peers. Well, I mean, let's not get it twisted. But so it was great. So she texted me later in the day, and one of her professors that mentored her had done his dissertation on the story. And she said, "I don't know how I didn't know that." It's like lots of connections. Come in, and cool. I always have to check out what he's wearing. It's always cool. We were walking out. I better not say that because that person might be watching. I won't say that. No, they wouldn't. But they would know who they are if they're watching this. Okay, don't do it. Well. No, I was. The Fox was crowded, which this is really cool. We were 5 rows back, and it was totally packed. But for some reason, the 2 seats in front of us were unoccupied the whole time. So it was like being on the stage. No, what I was going to say is, as we were walking out, this couple came and grabbed me. Hey, Bishop, how you doing? I think I remember who it is, but I couldn't think of the name. But I hugged him, and he said, "Follow you on Facebook, and if you're watching this, please don't be offended." But I said, I know I had to get a restraining order. I mean, it's a joke I always make. And she said, "Who was that?" I said, "I have no idea." She said, "How did you?" She said, "You acted like you knew him." I said, "People come talk to me all the time." So I'm used to thinking, I know you from somewhere. Just, give me a minute. I mean, this has happened on more than one occasion. Like one night, Ken and I were coming back from Eatonton, and we stopped at a gas station, and I was putting gas in the car, and this large man comes running toward me. And I'm like, "Oh my God, what's that?" And it was like, how Dino would run toward Fred Flintstone? It was like that. I thought, this guy's going to knock me down. And I don't know if he's coming in peace. And he said, "Bishop," he said, "I grew up listening to Washed by the Word for kids every night of my life. So glad to see you." I said, "Okay, thank you," because I don't know who this big grown man is. I mean, I haven't seen you since you were like this. So that kind of thing happens a lot. But anyway, so we had an excellent time, and then we got through the church where I preached my first sermon. I noticed in the last few months, the middle panel and the big stained glass window has been out, and I've been curious, like, did it get vandalized by a homeless person? I'm like, what's going on? And yeah, there it is. That's on the corner of Ponce and Piedmont. That used to be my dad's church. And so they had replaced, I noticed night before last they were replacing it, but I was trying to see in the car, and people were blowing the horn. So when we left the theater, Louisa said, I said, "How are you getting home?" Her husband dropped her out. And I said, if I'd known I was going to do this, I would have gotten a ticket for Leland. And she said, no, he's one of his fraternity brothers died. He's got to go to his funeral. So I said, "How are you getting home?" She said, I'm supposed to be walking, so I'm going to walk a couple of miles and call Leland. I said, oh. So she said, "Do not walk with me." I said, "I walked over here." She says, "I know, but you were in the other direction." I said, she kept telling me to leave her alone. I can't leave you. So finally, when we got down there, she said, "I insist, I'm okay." I said, all right. So I got to check out the church, and then I walked back to my house in Atlanta, and I texted her a little bit. I said, "Are you good?" She said, "Yeah, I just walked in." So he got her. But anyway, it was just a wonderful ending to a wonderful week. And it was not only exactly how I visualized, the other thing that happened, just as she got there, and again, I hope I'm not alienating any of my audience, but you know how there were protests going on all around the country? Well, the one in Atlanta was coming right down Peachtree Street. So for the hour we sat there before we walked over, we got to watch them, and she was taking pictures of them, and I was applauding. And well, she had several friends that work for the CDC that were fired this week, and they've worked there for 40 years, and it's devastating. So she was looking for people that she knew in the crowd, and it was some of the signs were hysterically funny. And even if that's not your cup of tea politically, just be glad that it's still legal to do that at this point. And as far as I know, none of those people were kidnapped and sent to El Salvador. As far as I know, I didn't see anybody being kidnapped, but at least that. So, but even that was it just made the day even more special because that's something she and I would be on the same page about. And the name of the show is Parade because Leo Frank was killed Mary Fagan was killed on Memorial, Confederate Memorial Day. So the whole thing's about a parade. It was just synchronicity everywhere and just best day ever. So that happened. So the music was incredible. I mean, it was incredible. And I was curious to see how are they going to make a show out of this because I remember they made a Broadway show out of Titanic and it was excellent. And they made a Broadway show out of Grey Gardens. It was so not everything has to be some things are dark subject matter, but this was at the end when they were his wife came and they had a picnic in the prison before he was. I was sobbing. It was very well done. So a good time was had by all. Next Sunday, Zach Keogh's going to be here for. We're going to do an In the Now. I really want you to come out here. And this guy, you know how I met him. Sophia and Olivia's dad, Dyson, was deployed with him in Iraq. And that's how he connected with Church in the Now. While he used to stream it in Iraq while he was deployed. And then we became friends. And I want to say he's living in Kentucky now, but they station him different places. He's in Hawaii a lot of the times, whatever. And he's just a super smart guy and totally on the page with me and one of my favorite people. And so he's going to, the last time we did this, it was really cool. So please be here next week. And then the following week is Easter. And Shonda Corelli's going to be singing. We're going to do communion. I'm going to anoint people with oil. It's going to be a really beautiful day. So please be here for that. The week after that is going to be meditation weekend number 25 in Jekyll Island. And just be in agreement with me that the timing works out. I need to give you a heads up. If I get down there and Jonah texts me and says she's in labor, I am going to go. I just need fair warning. I'm not going to miss that birth. She's being born where I was born. I mean, it's not called Crawford Long now, but it's the same building. So it's I love her already so much. I asked Sophie, which, by the way, I know y'all know this, but several people have said to me, congratulations on your daughter's pregnancy. I'm like, no, my granddaughter is Sophia, Sophia. My daughter-in-law is Sophie, Sophie, and she's the one that's pregnant. Sophia is graduating from high school in a few weeks, and we'll be going out to Santa Fe for that. But I asked her, I said permission. I said, can I touch your belly? And I already felt the connection with her, and she could come in. I'm telling you, Sophie's all baby, but it's like, sweet Lord, I don't know how you can go to the 26th or 27th. And she's had a great pregnancy. She's like, she had gone to a function at her work, and but they had their final sonogram, and they you never know what you're going to see. But Jonah said, I saw a chubby little foot. And I remember when Debbie had a sonogram with Jonah, for some reason he stuck his face right in the camera. And that's exactly what he looked like. Like when he came out, it's like, I've already met you. And I was telling Louisa yesterday, so weird. I was telling Mrs. Moffett yesterday I was giving her some history of the Fox and some of the times I've been there, and I said, my ex-wife and I went to see Ben-Hur here like a week before Judah, my second son, was born. And we had two sonograms that both said he was a girl. They said, don't even pick out a boy's name. You are having a girl. Except for Robert Rutherford. Robert Rutherford, I've told you. He called me, he said, you're having a boy in August. I said, nope, girl in September. He said, I don't care if it's August 31st, it's a boy. He was born on August 31st. And every time they would say, Judah Ben-Hur, Judah Ben-Hur, Judah Ben-Hur, I looked at Debbie, I said, I know it's a girl, but if for some reason it's a boy, I'm naming him Judah Benjamin, just so you know. And she said, okay, sounds good to me, but we're having a girl. I said, all right, I'm just saying, if it's a boy, you know, I'm watching him come out. I'm like, okay, I see a head. What else? Oh, I see that. Okay, it's Judah Benjamin. What are you shaking your head at? Well, you know, when they get halfway out, you still can't tell. Like, okay, what up, Judah Benjamin? Okay. Rutherford, you were right. So is that everything? Oh, our outreach this month. This is cool. We've never supported them before. It looks like it's just ASBCA, but it's not. They do. It's called Greater Good Charities, and it's like an they're very well vetted. It's an umbrella organization that kind of looks at where the money is needed, and sometimes it's disaster relief. I don't know why there's so many animals in that picture. It's much more than that, but anyway, we're going to give to them this month, and I think that's really cool. And I checked out their mission statement. It does not say they're anti-gay, so I'm like, okay, because that's, if you want me to support your charity, just make sure, because I'm going to check them out. So anyway, that's who we're giving to this month. Was that everything I needed to announce? Yes, I believe so. Y'all still with me? I mean, should I share a word with you or not? Well, I mean, you've heard a lot from me this week. I mean, I don't know. Huh? All right. I'm going to change your life and alter history. Now, you know, since I'm here anyway, I'm about to make the world a better place and remind you of why you've been following me, Lo, these many years. Danny said, as usual. That's awesome. I speak into this atmosphere and say, let there be light. Welcome to the Metron Live podcast, coming to you from the Atlanta Theater. Metron people, give the podcast people a welcome. As always, we thank the rock god of podcasting. This is not part of my outline. I'm just going to show you this first. I'm going to show the thing I just sent to you a few minutes ago before I get into my title, because it's something that I saw online today, and it's sort of exactly what I'm talking about today. It says, life gets easier when you stop fighting it. The rain will fall whether you complain or not. Traffic will exist whether you stress or not. People will act how they want whether you worry or not. Focus on what you can change. Let go of what you can't. Thanks for coming. Drive safely. I'll see you next week. That's what you need to do. It was funny. I sent this to Michelle a few minutes ago. She said, I needed this for the Sunday drivers on the way over here. And I was laughing about this because when I went to my loft yesterday and walked from there to the Fox. And so when it was time I was going to go pick up dinner for Mom, and my mom, who texted me and said, are you bringing dinner tonight? And I'm like, Mom, when have I ever not shown up? I've never even been late. And she said, I'm not complaining, with 13 exclamation points. I said, I know, but it's not even necessary to ask me because you can set your clock by it. Anyway, my building is very close to a lot. It's like right in the middle of where all the venues are. Like Kevin Broad had asked me one time, he was going to something at Mercedes-Benz, and he said, where's a good place to park here? I said, I don't know. I've never parked. I mean, because anything that's at State Farm or the Fox or any of those, I mean, I just walk to them. And so because of that, sometimes of the day, there's complete gridlock around my building. I mean, you just literally cannot get out. And people don't know not to block an intersection when the light is yellow. Like, I know, even if the light's green, I leave the intersection open because I know if I get out there in the middle and it turns red on me, everybody's going to be cussing me out, as they should. So I had a few of those. I mean, just trying to get out of my, off my block took a while. So I finally made it to the second block, and this one car just would not go. And I was sitting like this, leaning on the window, and I said, Jesus, please let this person go. And Siri, I always have Siri in the voice. It's either a British man or an Australian man. The British man sounds like C-3PO. But he says, I don't have a number for Jesus. Please enter the information. I'm like, so, I was like, call him up and tell him what you want, but you got to know the number. So here's the title of my message, which this confirmed. Next Level Abundant Life, freeing yourself to fully embrace life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That phrase, as you well know, is a phrase from the Declaration of Independence. Thomas Jefferson penned it. We hold these truths to be self-evident. In other words, this should be obvious. He said all men, but it should say all people, are created equal and are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, of which are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. The founding fathers, with all of their flaws, and they were products of their time, but the vision that they had for what we now, at least at this point, still call America, was the land of the free. People were supposed to be free. I've seen people post, well, freedom of religion isn't freedom from religion. I'm like, it certainly is. It certainly is. I mean, that was, especially the people that came from England, they very intentionally were escaping a mandated church, the Church of England, that everybody had to be a member of. And part of the American dream was you don't even have to go to church. As a matter of fact, you don't even have to believe in God. And anytime somebody comes along and wants to make a theocracy, I'm not even talking about oligarchy and all that. I mean just a theocracy. This was very intentionally set up to not be a theocracy. The separation of church and state is a good thing. It's a holy thing. It's a godly thing. I was listening to this man being interviewed, and he was talking about how much he loves the president and would even die for him. I thought, what? Why are you going to die for him? I mean, I like Barack Obama a lot. I went to his first inauguration. I don't think I'd die for him. I mean, I think I'd draw the line there. I love Jimmy Carter. I think Jimmy Carter was a saint. I don't think I'd die for him. I'm like, why are you talking about dying? Like, he's a president who was elected. Oh, God, put him in office. Like, no, buddy, that's why we have elections. It just has nothing to do with God, like not at all. Because, I love this country. I love it so much. I've been all over the world. I don't want to live anywhere else. But I'm not expecting when I get to the other side, whatever it is, whatever heaven is, I'm not expecting American flags to be waving. America is great while we're here. We're not going to be Americans eternally. And theocracy gets all of that blended. And let me tell you what's a problem with theocracy. Under Moses' law, if you found out your wife wasn't a virgin when you married her, she could be executed. So is that where we're going with this? We're going to start. It's getting quiet in here. Don't bring that up, bitch. But I mean, are we going to start checking everybody's gynecological records? I mean, because if we're going to go theocratic, if we're going to bring God into it, let's bring God into it. And so let me tell you where I'm going with this. I believe part of freedom is you being able to say what you want to say. A couple of times I've removed something that somebody put on my page or blocked them, and they'll say, what happened to free speech? I'm like, yeah, you're not being imprisoned for it. I just took what you posted down. You have the freedom to do it, as I have the freedom to say delete. The freedom of speech means you're not going to be arrested for what you posted on my page. But that's, freedom of speech doesn't mean you can come into my house and do anything you want to do or say anything you want to say. No, I'll even say this. You're entitled to say it. I'm entitled to not listen. I'm entitled to ignore you. I'm entitled to avoid you. That's part of freedom. So what I'm about to tell you has nothing to do with you saying what you believe is the truth. I applaud that, even if I disagree with you. You know the famous statement, usually attributed to Voltaire. I've heard it attributed to several people, but it's the truth is the same. I may disagree with you what you say, but I'll defend to the death your right to say it. Okay, fine. I'm good. I'm totally fine with that. That being said, you've got to learn how to say your piece and live your life without being obsessed with what everybody else is saying. Especially when you're making yourself miserable with it. Now, I've referred to this many times over the years. I'm going to show you these two passages of Scripture. This thing that happened in the Roman church that Paul was writing to, the concept is a broader concept than just what Paul was talking about. This is one of those things you have to look at the spirit of it, not just the letter. So in Rome, obviously Rome was mostly pagan, but there was a large Christian movement there. So there was a church at Rome. Like now we have Baptist church, Methodist church, Catholic church. But in Paul's day, there was just the church at Ephesus, the church at Thyatira or wherever. So the Romans worshipped, they were polytheists. They worshipped a lot of gods. So once, because Christianity as we know it came out of the concept of blood sacrifice. The reason, and I would say it if Jesus was standing here in the flesh, the reason Jesus died on the cross was not to appease an angry sky god. It was to change your perception, but it was also to honor an ancient tradition of blood sacrifice that was not necessary, or he would not have said, if there's any way, let this cup pass from me. Or he would not have said, you do not desire sacrifice. So he did it because that was part of the system. Sometimes you have to work within the system, okay? Because if you just burn it all down, there's nothing to save. So, and I'll talk more about this on Easter, I'm sure, but about the cross part of it when we take communion. As I always say, it makes me admire Jesus even more for him doing something that was not necessary in the sense that we think of it being necessary, okay? So, in the church at Rome, there were people that made animal sacrifice to Diana and Baal and Dagon. And, when you're a polytheist and you believe in blood sacrifice, you're have an animal slaughtered all the time. And what you would do is when you offered a lamb or a heifer or whatever, it would be the cream of the crop. That's what you did. You brought the best animal to your God, okay? So once these blood sacrifices had been made, the meat was then sold in the market. It was perfectly, not only was it perfectly good meat, it was probably the best you could buy, but it was also at a reduced price because it had been used in temple worship. There were some people in the Roman church that were like, they saw a good deal. Like, are you kidding me? I'm getting top of the line. What do they call the steak? Wagyu beef. It's like top of the line for a fraction of the cost. There were Roman Christians that were like, heck yeah, fire up the barbecue. The pagans made a sacrifice last night, and we got enough beef here. I mean, we don't have freezers to put it in, but we got to eat up this meat because I bought a whole lot. They sacrificed a bunch to Baal last night, and we got ground round. You name it, we got it. Whatever cut of meat. When I was in college, I worked as a waiter at, remember Steak and Ale? They used to have it in the 70s. Well, I don't know anything about steak. I mean, I'll eat a steak once in a while, but I don't know anything about cuts of meat. And when they would ask, because there's like lots of different steaks, I had no idea what I was talking about. I just said, you know, a lot of red meat's not really all that good for you, but this is what most people order. I don't know how I got that. Somehow, fortunately, I was entertaining. That's how I got good tips, because I wasn't that great of a waiter. Especially because I'd never been around alcohol at all. So when people would order these, you know, a Harvey Wallbanger or what, and I don't want to just keep going, what did you say? So I'd have to go to the bartender and say, I think they ordered a slippery monkey. Like, I'm not sure what that was. And fortunately, the bartender would accommodate me. And people would say, can you recommend a good after-dinner drink? I'm like, coffee? But anyway, so there were many, I don't know, I told him, can we check the thermostat? I told him it's I don't know. I got to complain to the landlord. Sorry, I can't do anything about it. What? That's right, it's the anointing, the fire of God. So there were many Roman Christians that they were like, this is a blessing. It didn't even occur to them that it was going to be a problem. There were other Christians that were horrified by it. Like, how could you follow Jesus? How could you? This steak was, people worshiped Baal over this steak. And, you know, people that it wasn't their paradigm, they'd be like, Baal's not even real. I mean, so what? So, you know, it's like, it's a great piece of meat and it's cheap. But it was a big riff. It's the kind of thing that we probably wouldn't even pay any attention to, because most of us came from a culture where dietary laws wasn't an issue. Eddie was raised in a sort of a different branch of Pentecost than I was, but one thing that's probably true for both of us, everything was a sin but what you ate. Like, we were not like the Seventh-day Adventists. Those Pentecostals ate some pork. Yeah. Don't say that. Don't say eating dogs. There's some more Haitians are going to be. I wonder what happened to that. How come nobody say anything about, like, what? Did they eat up all the dogs and cats in Ohio? Because we're not talking about that now. Anywho, I know it's warm. Nothing I can do about it. Take off whatever you need to take off. I don't care. Will's already stripping down, so I'm like, well, okay.
You know, that woman's just meanie and menopause. We're all at that age.
So it was a huge rift in the church. So Paul it's definitely what we have is Romans chapter 14 and really kind of through 15 and 16. Even, I know y'all know this, but for context, I need to say this. You know the very famous statement, the kingdom of God is not meat or drink, but it's righteousness, peace, and joy in the Holy Ghost. That's what he was talking about. He was like, you're obsessing over stuff that God doesn't even care. I mean, it means nothing to God at all. And y'all are fighting over it. You need to focus on what really matters. It was sort of Paul's way of, when Jesus said, you strain at gnats and swallow camels, it was Paul's way of saying the same thing. Like, this doesn't matter. So I love the way it says this in the message. This is Romans 14:1, and I'm going to use it for what I'm talking about today, okay? He says, welcome with open arms, fellow believers who don't see things the way you do. And don't jump all over them every time they do or say something you don't agree with, even when it seems that they are strong in opinions but weak in the faith department. Remember, they have their own history to deal with. Treat them gently. This is a very important statement because somebody can say something that you don't understand at all, but you're not coming from where they're coming from. Let me tell you where this really kicked in this week before I show you this next verse. Obviously, because, I've been living at my mom's now for over 2 weeks, and it's been fine, and I'm just doing what I want to do to change the house the way I think it should look, and she's fine with it. And but also, if we're going to be under the same roof, I had a punch list of stuff that I need to say. We're not going to do. These are things we're not going to do if you're going to move in here. Things like, when Snow White walked out in the forest and all the animals are coming out, Mom visualizes herself like that. So she feeds everything, which sounds good, but she feeds stuff that doesn't need to be fed. So there's these feral cats that are around, and she feeds them, and it's like, it sounds benign, but you can't believe it means. We got possums, we got raccoons. She's out there with the raccoons who have rabies. She's this far away from them. I'm like, Mom, I know you think they're adorable, but raccoons don't love you. They're hungry, and and when these cats, these cats are hoes. I mean, they as soon as they have babies, they're pregnant again. I'm like, how in the world are you pregnant already? And so she freaks out over the kittens, and I'm like, Mom, these are wild animals. They're not your pets. And and she's feeding the squirrels on the front porch. I'm like, Mom, let me tell you, I don't know if you've ever fed squirrels. I think squirrels are adorable, but if you feed them and stop feeding them, they get hostile and they come and eat your house. And I don't want them in the attic. I don't want squirrels. And she thinks I'm being hard-hearted, but I'm like, no, these animals, they're living in a lush environment. There's plenty for them to eat here. And the neighbor's dog, every time it barks, she gets up from the table and wants to take it a dog bone. So last night, my point in saying it, I was going to sit down and say, here's some new rules. And then I thought, no, I'm just gonna leave it, and whatever happens, I'll deal with it when it happens. Because I sounded like a control freak, like I'm reading, this edict. I'm like, no, I don't want to be that guy. And most of it, my point is, most of it has been a non-issue. But last night at the table, the dog next door was barking. I said, Mom, I'm just going to tell you something. Those neighbors don't want you feeding their dog. And she said, but he's barking. I said, he barks all the time. I said, when I was here fixing up the house, when you were in assisted living, he was barking. I know you think he's calling you, but he's just barking. And you know what? She said, you're right. She actually said, I don't want to create a monster. So I thought, okay, we've made some major progress. Because somehow in the past, that would always end up to be a big argument that would end up something about abortion. I don't know how it did. But all roads lead back to abortion. I don't know how we got there, but somehow it was Democrats are heartless, and you kill babies. That's why you don't want to feed animals. I'm like, you're on to us. You are on to our. We're so sorry you found this out. Anyway, so it's been fine, but then there's a place not far from her house that I've discovered that serves breakfast, and I love this place. It's really like I went and picked her up a biscuit yesterday, and I like going there. And I love a place where there's like older waitresses. I don't mean they're being untoward, but I love when it's an older waitress that calls you hon and rubs your back a little bit when she's pouring the coffee. I'm like, oh yeah, this is all good. I love all of this. And they got I'm trying to cut down on grits, which, by the way, I'm back down another 12. I have down 12 and up 12. Down, but this time I'm down, and I'm staying down. I forgot to tell y'all. You may have seen me post it. I forgot. This is the best part of my birthday. Hold that thought. I had my annual physical Thursday on my birthday. Some of you read this online or heard me talk about it. And, that's been a whole stronghold going there because I've already had blood pressure issues, and I'm so terrified of Raina, the head nurse. When she starts walking toward me, I'm like, oh, I feel my blood pressure rising because I know she's going to take it and go, it's high. And I'm like, oh, Raina, I'm sorry. And so last year I told her, I said, you're making this happen because I dread you so much. And she got really upset. I said, no, I'm just telling you, you're going to have to cut me some slack. So I went in there Thursday, best numbers I've ever had. And when she says, oh, your blood pressure's good, I said, I'm going to have to record you saying that. Say that again so I was really happy that I had a physical on my birthday because everything was good, and I had real good mojo. And I'm not dreading seeing the cardiologist tomorrow. I'm sure it's going to be fine. So why was I telling you that? Breakfast, yeah. I'm not eating grits right now, but if you want to, you're probably familiar with it, bro. It's called Huskers. It's over there. It's in the parking lot where Walmart is. It's so good. They serve grits, not one, not two, not three, but 4 different ways, baby. You can get them white. You can get them yellow. You can get them with cream in them. You can get them with all kind of stuff. And I love me some grits. I didn't have any this week, but I went in one day this week, and this message was already brewing in me because my own life is a laboratory. Because, Mom doesn't know how to get the TV on, and it's too hard to explain it to her. So I get up in the morning, I fix my coffee, I go back upstairs, I set the coffee on the Keurig. All she has to do is press a button. There's your coffee. And I turn on her TV. And I don't turn it on Fox News because I know she'll turn it on there in a minute. I'll turn on something a little more, ABC or NBC or Discovery Channel or TBN. I'm even fine with TBN. But, we don't argue about that anymore. Because, my impulse, please don't leave. My impulse is to say, Fox News is the devil. Like they're the is that too strong? Like they're the false prophet of Revelation that enables the beast. When you read that the false prophet was enabled by a lying entity, they were just sued for nearly $1 billion for false information. But if I have that argument with her again, it's just going to be another argument that's going to end up about abortion. So the only thing I say about it, one night this week, I said, you need to, she's a little confused. I said, you need to go and lay down. And I went in her bedroom, and she had it on in the bedroom. I said, Mom, don't go, I'm not telling you what to do, but don't go to sleep with watching the news. So if you're going to leave it on, go with the Discovery Channel or something, you don't want to. And she agreed. She said, you're right. I think it's, and I understand this because I've done this with my channel, where if you watch it for a long period of time, you're used to this person comes on at this time, and you sort of develop a relationship with them. So honestly, I don't even fault her for it. But my point is, I've just learned this is how she sees the world, and I don't want to have this fight every day, because because I noticed when I would go into her place at, when she was in assisted living, she had it on, she would turn the channel real quick. It's like she was busted. And now she does it because, I'm there, so she can't hide it. And I'm like, yeah, I know, it's fine. So I go into the breakfast place, and I'm sitting at like this bar, and I look over, and over on this side are these three Muslim women. They got burqas on, and it's a warm day. And they're looking at their breakfast. They're waiting for their breakfast. And I'm looking at them, and I wanted to say, I know it's none of my business, ladies, but God doesn't care. I don't, namaste. I don't want to dishonor your religion. It's really hot. I'm telling you, I don't think God would be mad if you just put that hood down. But I thought, no, that's their paradigm. That's their idea of who God is. So here's a thought. It's none of my damn business. It's just none of my business. I thought if they want to sit here wearing full-length fur coats because they think that's what God wants them, I'm like, assalamu alaikum. Well, then Marie, the waitress, comes over, and we're talking, and I said something about, because I've had a few little conversations with her, and this was the day after my birthday, and I said something about my good report about the blood pressure, and she said, oh, I've had such issues with blood pressure, and I can really relate to that. And then she said, I've had a lot of issues with arthritis, and it was really bothering me, and I just got up one day, and I said, Father, in Jesus' name. I could tell she goes to some church somewhere. And then she also addressed Satan. She goes, Satan, in Jesus' name, you got to get behind me. Now, there's a part of me that wanted to go, Marie, arthritis is just a thing that happens. It's not the devil. But that's, as she was talking about being well and what she prays, even this morning I got up and said, God, use me. It felt very authentic. Do you understand what I'm saying? I disagreed with her theology, but there was no point in me rebuking her because that's what works for her. And it felt, something about it felt real. When she said, I just said, arthritis, you're not going to get me down in Jesus' name. I'm like, you know what? That makes my shoulder feel a little better. I'll take it. Yeah, but, sure, rebuke the devil. If it'll help my knee feel a little better when I'm up and down those steps, rebuke it. Okay, the arthritis is the devil. I can get behind that. And then she said, is your wife still living? And I said, what? And she tapped my wedding band. And I said, Marie, that's complicated. Now, can I just tell you, I'm not ashamed of who I am. 15 years ago, I came out as publicly as anybody can. I don't care what and if she were just to ask me outright, I would not lie to her. But do you understand there's a time to speak and a time to be silent? And I just want to eat my omelet. I'm not trying to raise your consciousness about LGBT people because you know what? It probably wouldn't make any difference to what you think anyway. Well, if she were, this is the way I feel. If someone were to ask you, what do you think about so-and-so? But otherwise, for me just to sit there, and again, I think I've made it clear I'm not ashamed of who I am. But for me to sit there in this restaurant and say, I'm married to a man and you bet, what's the point? I don't care. It doesn't matter. And so I'm looking at the Muslims over here and rebuking the devil over here. And I'm like, you know what? It is what it is. And this is the journey that they're on. It has nothing to do with me. And I had a little moment with her that was really sweet. And why take away the beauty of that moment by getting in the weeds over some stupid argument that's not going to make any difference? Do you understand? And I'm not saying you should lie about who you are. I'm saying I don't even want to say choose your battles, because probably if I had said it, she would have been okay with it. It's just, it didn't matter to me at that point. And it's kind of like, I'm sure I've said all of these things to you before, but I remember the last time I went to the arts festival in Piedmont Park. These preachers are out there with their bullhorns preaching against gay people. And I said to one of them, I said, you know this isn't gay pride, right? Like, gay pride's in October. This is an art. I mean, it's fine that you want to hate gay people, but this is like people selling paintings and ceramics and like, you know, whatever. He looked befuddled. And I look at these people, because I used to do street preaching too. So I'm compassionate to it. But a few weeks ago when I was at the loft, I took a walk, and I live, like I said, just a few blocks from State Farm and Mercedes-Benz. And I took a walk up there one night. Just walking, I wanted to see what they're building all this new stuff and what they call the Gulch, and I wanted to see what they were doing, so I walked up there. And there was a game going on at both venues. So there's a line getting into State Farm and a line people going into Mercedes. You know what I'm talking about? Those are right there. At both places, there are people up there screaming to the top of their lungs, you're going to hell, all of sin and come short of the glory of God. And I'm looking at these people, and I think, these people bought tickets to go to this venue. You honestly think they're going to turn around and say, wait, I just paid $100 to see this game, but tell me more about why I'm going to hell. I wanted to say, guys, we live in the Bible Belt. I assure you, there isn't one person in this line that hasn't heard everything that you said, and they're not only not listening to you, you're just like, what, you're wasting your time. These are just families taking their kids to a ball game. Why don't you just enjoy life? And they're just sweated down preaching, and you're going to hell. And you think, well, Jesus said, go into every nation. Like, we've gone into every nation. Does that surprise you? That mandate's pretty much obsolete now. There's not one person in the United States of America that knows who Jesus is. I mean, Siri doesn't know how his number. But these guys are frantically preaching, and I just want to say to them, see that guy laying on that sidewalk right there? He's homeless. If you really want to do something, go get him something to eat, or go. That would be impressive. Instead of telling all these people who probably go to Baptist churches, have already been like, whatever you think saved is, they've been saved. I've told you this before, but my aunt, they left the Church of God and went to a Baptist church, and I went to her funeral, and I could tell the pastor clearly had never met her. He had no anecdotes about her at all. But he led, I'm not exaggerating, he led a sinner's prayer 3 times during his sermon and once under the tent when we buried her. And I wanted so bad to say, buddy, there's not one person in this building that hadn't prayed this prayer at least 3 times today. You know, if you don't know, I mean, I've done many funerals for people I never met. You could still come up with something like life is short, carpe diem, don't leave mad because you don't know. I mean, those are just universal things you could say at anybody's funeral. And if I don't know anything about them, I said, anybody got anything you want to stand up and say about it? And that usually is fine. But when he led us in that third prayer, if you want to see her again, you got to pray this prayer. I'm like, good Lord, give it a rest. Why are fundamentalists such control freaks? The next thing, this is down in verse 22 and 23 of the Message. He says, cultivate your own relationship with God, but don't impose it on others. You're fortunate if your behavior and your belief are coherent. But if you're not sure, if you notice that you are acting in ways inconsistent with what you believe, some days trying to impose your opinions on others, other days just trying to please them, then you know that you're out of line. If the way you live isn't consistent with what you believe, then it's wrong. What I want to say to certain people that I'm hearing in the mainstream now, I want to say, look, you could try to hide LGBT people, but they're not going anywhere. And what you think is grooming children, I'm telling you, if a kid's not gay, you couldn't groom them. I mean, I'll go so far as to say if you sexually molested, like if a man sexually molested a child, it's not going to make that kid gay. I have counseled with enough people to know. My orientation, I didn't know what sex was, but it's been part of my life as long as I can remember. And I was never alone with anybody long enough to be touched. So that wasn't it. Oh, did I just get too real all of a sudden? And even I'll admit that on the left there is overcorrection on some things. And I don't have all the answers about like a man who becomes a woman playing women's sports. I think it's kind of a non-issue. I haven't heard any instances of that happening. So yeah, there's some technicalities you have to work out. But if a little boy feels like he's a little girl, all the legislation in the world's not going to change that. All that's going to change is they're going to go undercover about it, but it's not going to change who they are. I've told you this before, but somebody a while back, this is back years ago when Evita was back on Broadway and Ricky Martin played Che, and I forgot who played Evita, but somebody said to me, he said, we're kind of concerned that my little 10 or 11-year-old nephew is gay. I said, why do you think? He said, the other day, if I don't get to see Ricky Martin and Evita on Broadway, I'm going to die. I said, he's gay. He said, how do you know? I said, because a little straight boy, unless he was a musical prodigy, wouldn't even know what Broadway is. He just is. And so the guy said, well, they're going to put him in basketball and see if they can. I said, well, gay people can play basketball. Like, do you think that's going to change who they are? So all of this frantic stuff about, gay agenda. There's just people being who they are. There's about 10% of the population that's LGBT. It always has been, always will be. There's nothing you can do about it. Nothing you can change about it. It is a fact of life. It's not a good thing or a bad thing. It's just a fact of life. Yeah, but the Bible, I know what the Bible says. I'm telling you, this is the reality. There's 1,500 species of animals that have same-sex pairing. They don't know what the Bible is. It's something innate in them that you won't understand because you've never dealt with it, but it's their reality. Why am I bringing that up? Because there's just too much manipulation in the name of God that people say is ministry. It's not ministry, it's control. And especially when it's the people closest to you. I hope he doesn't mind me saying this. But I don't know if Jared still smokes or not. I haven't smelled it on him a lot and recently, and he never does it in front of me because he knows I despise it. But there's no point in me saying anything else about it because I've said plenty about it over the years. And quite frankly, it beats heroin. So I'm like, all right, fine. So last Saturday, I picked him up something to eat when he came to Mom's house to mow the grass. And I said, I got you this thing over here. He said, I gave up sugar for Lent. And I wanted to go, why don't you give up cigarettes? But I thought, don't say that because we're just going to get an argument that's going to end up about abortion. And I thought, I am so evolved. I'm so evolved. And Wednesday night, when we were together and Jonah had that cake, Jonah cut Jared a piece and he says, no, I gave up sugar for Lent. Of course, his brother said, we didn't know you were Catholic. I'm like, hey, it's his journey. It's his journey. And the reason I'm titling this Next Level Abundant Life is this is how you're happy. I can have life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness because I want you to have life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And if that makes you happy, then namaste. I'm not going to sit here and watch it with you or smoke it with you or whatever it is with you. But if that's your thing, yeah, but we've got to, no, you don't. Yeah, but we've got cry aloud and spare not. Like, no, we don't. The New Testament is, owe no man anything but to love him. That's your only responsibility. And that means love them if they're wrong, love them if they believe wrong, Love them if they disagree with you. Accept the fact that people that disagree with, they're going to always disagree with you. There's always going to be traffic in Atlanta. So if you're going to gripe about it, don't drive in Atlanta. Bishop, doesn't it bother you? I'm like, it's a city. A lot of people. They have cars. Yes. Sometimes I call his name. All right. Now this is maybe sound odd, but let me tell you why I want to use this verse. I don't have siblings, so the whole concept of sibling rivalry it's fascinating to me. Because I never honed my competitive skills because I never had to compete for anything. And, so there's some things I'm just not competitive. If I'm not good at something, I bet, well, I'm not good at that. And if I'm good at it, I'm like, no, I'm about the best there is at that. And it's like, I'm not even trying to prove it to you. But all through the scriptures, we see like Mary and Martha. When Martha comes to Jesus and he says, tell my sister to, get here in the kitchen. And he says, Martha, Martha, you are troubled about many things. Or the elder brother, when the prodigal comes in and he says, why'd you kill the fatted calf for him? I've been here all along. But Peter and John they were very much like siblings. And John, I love John. I love the Gospel of John. But when you understand John's personality and the way he wrote some things, there's so much passive aggression in John, especially because, you know why we call him the disciple Jesus loved? Because he called himself the disciple Jesus loved. He's not called that in any other book of the Bible. It would be like those of you that have siblings, if you had a sibling that wrote to everybody and said, well, I just want you to know I'm the child that mama loves. You'd be like, no, you did not. Well, that's what, like for instance, in the resurrection story, this is the kind of stuff that if you were Peter, it would just grind your gears. It says, when they heard news that Jesus was resurrected, Peter and John ran to the tomb, and John got there first. Like, okay, John, we get it. You're faster than Peter. Do you understand? If you were on the other side of that, you'd be like, good God, this guy is pathetic. You really have to tell us that you won at golf or you won at, like, really? You got to rub that in? So, this is John 21. I was in John 21 last week, I think. But this is at the end. Let me just say, there's an urban legend that Peter was crucified upside down. That's not in the scripture. In fact, Jesus told Peter that he was going to be an elderly person that was going to have elder care. And it was a suggestion. It was, the Bible's full of people who were given like a word like Hezekiah was. Remember when Isaiah comes to Hezekiah and says, you're going to die? And he turns his face to the wall. And Isaiah comes back and he says, all right, God gave you 15 more years. I mean, if I was Hezekiah, I'd say, well, hang on. I'm going to turn again. See if I can get, while he's in the mood. Or God saying to Abraham, I'm going to destroy Sodom and Gomorrah. And Abraham says, would you save it for 50? Yeah. Would you save it for 40? Sure. Would you save it for 30? Okay. Would you save it for 20? Why not? Would you save it for 10? All right. Why did God destroy Sodom and Gomorrah? Because of them faggots. No, because Abraham stopped at 10. If I were Abraham, I would say, would you save it for me? You seem to be pretty good mood for negotiation. So you see that through the scripture. So just because, I nearly think when Jesus says this to Peter, he's testing him to see how, and Peter failed the test. Look at this. 18 through 21 in the NIV. He says, very truly I tell you, when you were younger, you dressed yourself and went where you wanted. But when you are old, you will stretch out your hands and someone else will dress you and lead you where you do not want to go. That's kind of the way a lot of elderly people end up. That's not that unusual. It's not like he's saying the most horrible thing you can imagine is ever. I mean, that's like none of us want to end up that way, but a lot of people do, right? So wouldn't you think if he's saying that, if I were Peter, I'd be like, no, give me something else. What else you got? Like, give me I'm going to live long and lean on my sword and give up the ghost like Moses did. And, because in Moses' story, it says his eyesight never abated, and he lived a good long time. So go for that. It's in the realm of possibility. Jesus said this to indicate, and you mentioned that yesterday, indicate the kind of death by which Peter would glorify God, meaning this is one of the options. All Peter could think about is John. Then he said to him, "Follow me." Peter turned and saw that the disciple whom Jesus loved was following them. We get it, John. Jesus loved you. You've made that point over and over again. Look what. This was the one who had leaned back against Jesus at the supper. Yes, John, we know. Believe me, we all talked about it. Are y'all following me? This is like all the disciples like, this, would you sit up? Like the rest, the way I visualize it, because even, when Jesus said, I've visualized this way too much. It's like a movie in my head. But when Jesus says, one of you is going to deny me, one of you is going to betray me, John's leaning, like cuddling up with Jesus. And what I picture is John going, because it's John who said, "Who is it, Lord?" He's like, who is it, Lord? Meaning, it's showing me, because I'm the disciple you love. I just picture him looking around at the other guys like, la, la, la. I'm leaning on Jesus. You're not this close to him. Who's it going to be? When Peter saw him, he asked, "Lord, what about him?" That right there, whataboutism, it's affecting our politics. It's the basis of religion. It's people saying, "I don't care that I've got a 2x4 in my eye. I've got to obsess over the splinter in your eye." So, wouldn't you think if Jesus Christ had just told you how you were going to end up in life and it wasn't the rosiest picture, wouldn't you think you would want to talk about that? Nope. Completely preoccupied with his competition with John. What about him? And then Jesus, let me tell you something about Jesus. He never says what you want him to say. Every time in the Gospels, somebody would say something, Jesus would just say, that he's such a provocateur. He would say the last thing you want to hear. Jesus answered, "If I want him to remain alive until I return, what is that to you? You're burnt. Yeah. You must follow me." I think the reason he said this, Peter, get your eyes off John and put your eyes on me. You're so obsessed with what he's doing or not doing. You're saying, I'm right here in front of you and you don't see me. Your relationship with me is completely unique to you. It has nothing to do with John. And is that the very essence of religion? What about them? Why are they wearing that? Why are they smoking that? Why are they in church? How much do they give? It's all about what are they doing? Let me show you the next thing. This is one of my favorite memes. I just love it. The first panel says, it's a guy shushing a guy, saying, shh. And then it just says, let people enjoy things. When I walk through the room and my mom's watching Fox News, I'm like, this is what she enjoys. I have a TV upstairs. I'm going to go up and watch that. Because if I engage in this, we're going to get into a thing that's going to go about an hour, and it's going to end up about abortion. And I'm just not in the mood to kill any babies tonight, so I just don't want to. It's a moot point. The fifth, number 5. How to win at life. Step 1, let people do what they need to do to make them happy. Mind your own business and do what you need to do to make you happy. The end. Number 6, whataboutism, when you don't have a good answer and change the subject by pointing fingers at someone or something else. Exactly. Exactly. And then finally, this is a meditation I wrote this week. I got good reviews on this. This is what I wrote. I'm going to be very bossy here and just tell you what you need to do. Now that I'm a year older, and thanks again for the birthday greetings, I'm leaning in harder than ever to the seasoned elder, oracle, wise man vibe. So I don't want to back talk about this. You heard? I'm an old man now. Bible says, rebuke not an elder. So here it is, and these aren't suggestions. Stop apologizing for who you are. You're awesome, even with your flaws, or you're flawsome, just the way you are. For goodness sake, forgive yourself already for whatever you did and let it go. You're thinking about it way more than anyone else is, and it's probably much bigger in your mind than it actually was. Stop wasting your time over-explaining yourself. Just live your authentic life and allow the people that you affect to adjust to you unapologetically living your truth. And if they can't, it's not the end of the world. Stop trying to micromanage everybody else and convert them to your way of thinking. Some people in your orbit are never, ever, ever, ever going to come around to your way of thinking, so you just need to accept it like you do the changing of the seasons. I'm not telling you not to be quiet. I'm not telling you not to post on whatever you want to do on your platforms. I'm just saying stop frustrating yourself because the people that you think should think like you aren't thinking like you, because it doesn't work that way. Believe me, I read some things that people post that sat in my ministry for years, and I think, I clearly had no influence on you whatsoever. And some of these people go, Bishop, you changed my life. And I'm like, I ain't changed it too much. I just saw what you posted last night. I mean, very little change. So you just need to accept, like, okay. And if by chance they ever do come around to your viewpoint, it won't be because you nagged or shamed them into it. You can influence people, but it's also true that you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. Either they get it or they don't. If you think they're idiotic for seeing the world the way they do, then go for the let him who is ignorant be ignorant still concept and move it along. Free yourself. Say what you want to say without hesitation. Post what you want to post. Hold fast to your beliefs. But stop letting yourself get so frustrated over and over again when other people don't embrace those beliefs. It doesn't matter. Live and let live. What do they say? The definition of stupidity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. If you've had the same argument with somebody 100 times and you know this is the point where I say this and now you say this, why don't you just write it down and print it out and say, let's just read it instead of going through all this again. Because I know I can already anticipate what you're going to say. Because you already know what I'm going to say. We've already been down this. It's like a waste of time. Be happy and follow your bliss every single day. Do what brings you joy. And if it doesn't bring you joy, cut it out of your life. Who cares if other people get it or not? Your joy matters. Your sense of well-being matters. Your freedom matters. I remember, my friend Howie cruises a lot. And, he had a very successful travel blog for years. So he's not doing that full-time now. But, but even regardless of that, I don't even say anymore when he says, because he's about to leave again for somewhere, I never say, you're going again? Because I don't care. It's not costing me anything. If I want to talk to him, he's got a cell phone. I can talk to him there. He was in New Zealand for a month. We talked several times. I don't even need to have an opinion about it. This has finally stopped because it just used to bug me so much. When I would post a picture of Ken and me eating out and somebody would say, y'all ever eat at home? What do you care? Did I ask, are you taking me to dinner? Why do you even have an opinion about this? Why do y'all eat out? Somebody's like, shut up. I hate you. It would never occur to me to say to somebody, if it's your money and it's not affecting me, if you lived on a cruise ship, you know what, really? This to me was the epitome of whataboutism. This is a few years back. But you know the restaurant over here on Ponce, it's across from Ponce City Market, it's called Eats. It is not a fancy restaurant. You can get a vegetable plate, $7, $8. It's cheaper than Mary Mac's. We go there a lot because the food's good and it's easy to get takeout, whatever. So I've been to some nice places, but Eats ain't nice. It's clean, but you go there for good, cheap food. You've been there, you know what I'm talking about. I posted a picture of it had 4 vegetables. Aside from the fact that I have fed countless homeless people in that parking lot, so much so that the last time I went in there to get something, they actually said, are you buying this for somebody in the parking lot? I'm like, yeah. And they go, please don't. We'd rather you didn't. So now I have to tell some of these guys, like, I'm sorry, they've asked me not to do this anymore, okay? So my point is, it's a cheap plate of food in a restaurant where I have, on many occasions, bought people food. And some guy didn't know, I posted a picture of it, because I was encouraging people, this is back when we were doing the year of living your best life, I was encouraging people to eat healthy. This guy posts all these things about you rich preachers and eating in these fancy restaurants. And I'm like, who is this guy? And first of all, if you're going to make this argument, you're going to do it at Eats? Like, go to a picture of us staying in Times Square. That did cost a little bit. But Eats, $7, it's cheaper than McDonald's. So I asked Ken, I said, do you know who this guy is? He says, yeah, he's some guy that lived in Reynolds and he lives on a cruise ship now because he has a yacht. I said, say that again. He said, he's not a cruise ship. He said, he lives on his yacht now. I said, he has a freaking yacht? And he's busting my chops about a vegetable plate at Eats? And I would have contended with him about it, but it would have just been an argument that would have ended up about abortion. So I just blocked him because I thought, isn't that always the way? Like, you of all people. Anyway. Be happy. Oh, and if there's something hard or unpleasant that you have to do that's not avoidable, then do what you have to do to make the thing as tolerable and workable as it can be and get through it without compromising who you are. Tuesday, I've got a tile guy coming. I've already picked out the tile. I've already paid for it. I'll pay him Tuesday because the tile in that foyer has 2 big cracks in it all the way across. The house built in 1976. It bugs me every time I walk across that. So guess what? This morning when I walked in, I thought, next Sunday when I walk down here, it's going to be brand new black and white tile. That have anything to do with taking care of my mom? No, she can't even see it. I'm like, I'm living here now. This makes me happy. I'm going to do it. But the thing is, I have to say, this thing has turned out much better than I anticipated. You know what really turned out better? The assisted living used to draft my account on the 5th of every month. And I had the money in there, but there's something, I don't even tell you the amount, but there's something about seeing that much money taken out of your account that every time on the 5th, I'd be like, oh God. Yesterday, today's the 6th, I kept looking at the 5th, did it take it out? Because I went by there and said, I need to make sure y'all took me off of that automatic draft because I don't need y'all drafting 2 months' salary out of my account. And You know the best part of this whole thing? All day, this morning I got up and I checked my balance. Like, they didn't take any money out. Exactly. Yeah, I would have left right now. I'm like, I gotta go. No, you did not. But so living in the house, it's very quiet there, and I've slept very well. But I've also done a lot of things to that house. I thought, if I'm going to live here, this is the way this is going to have to be. This is non-negotiable. This is what I'm doing, and it has made a difference. So if there's something you have to do, then don't make it hard on yourself. Do what you can. I hate my drive to work. Well, then get something you want to listen to, and listen to that and enjoy it. I never minded a ride, but to me, being in the car by myself is like my own personal secluded place. I don't mind that. I can't say I love traffic, but I don't mind. Like, even making a road trip by myself is totally fine. I mean, these days I listen to some 4 episodes of some podcast I like, and I'm already there where I need to be. So if you've got to do it, then make it good for yourself. Remember that loving people and being a people pleaser are not at all the same thing. Loving people is empowering. Living only to please other people is sad and pathetic. You can love people and still tell them no if you need to. It depends on your relationship with them. Boundaries are perfectly compatible with unconditional love, so don't get it twisted or allow someone to manipulate you. Go the extra mile, but don't forget to advocate for yourself when you've done enough and there's nothing left to give. Take care of yourself first, period. And in the words of Forrest Gump, and that's all I have to say about that. Stop wasting your time waiting for the apology that's never coming. You've given that person enough of your power. Learn from it and keep moving. And once again, if it makes you happy and you're not intentionally hurting anyone by doing it, then do it. Whatever you do with your time and with your money is your business alone. When other people have judgments or opinions about the way you live, or with what you wear, or with what you spend, or about what you believe, etc., do not hesitate to remind them that you are not accountable to them other than owe no man anything but to love him. Protect the life that you've curated and celebrate it. Don't compare it with anyone else's. Remember, you are an original, so be willing to pay the price for nonconformity. It's totally worth it. I could say a lot more, but you just need to work on these things for right now. I'll be back when you need some more. That's why if it's something, if you've worked for your money and you want to go on vacation, or you want to eat out, or you want to buy something that other people are like, it's none of their business. They don't even need to have an opinion about it. It never occurs to me. If I look on Eddie's page and he or one of his kids, if they've gone to New York, I'm like, oh, wow, that's so cool. They got to do that. I love New York. I never think, y'all are up there at gigs. If I could be up there right now my own self. Why even care if it's not affecting you? If you're straight, gay marriage has no bearing on your marriage whatsoever, at all. It's not going to take marriage away from you. There's no gay agenda. Gay people don't hate straight. Heterosexuality is alive and well. It's not going anywhere. The world's not turning gay. It's just some people are telling the truth about who they are, period. And it shouldn't even matter to you. And if it does, then go somewhere where there aren't gay people, although there's no such place. I've on more than one occasion, I've had somebody say, I don't even know anybody gay. And I look at their son, I'm like, well, Kevin is. I don't know if you know this, but yeah, you do. He's in the upstairs bedroom. But liberty means I get liberty, you get liberty. All right, I could say more, but it's hot in here. Let's get out of here. Did you get anything out of this? Of course you did. I told you I was going to change your life. What'd you say? Oh. Will, are you arguing with me? Are you disagreeing with me? Okay. I think the actual, thank you, Michael. Dale. Your first name is Michael. Okay. I think the exact quote was mind your own damn business. I'm pretty sure that's what I said. And I'm sorry, I'm not trying to just swear, but sometimes you have to add that. Do you know what I mean? Because mind your business, it does. Mind your business is kind of a suggestion. Mind your own damn business is shut it down. It's what Proverbs calls a word in season. Please remain standing. Let's play the outro.
Contributing to Metron is quick and easy. You can give anytime using any smartphone. Text the amount you would like to donate to 404-620-5044. You will then receive a notification that you successfully completed your donation. You may also visit bishopthenow.com and click the support tab to give there as well. When you contribute to Metron, you're also donating to the charity or organization of the month. Thank you for your investment into Metron.
If you have a check, make it JESM. If you have cash, just pay it forward. Please come back next week because it's going to be really good. I just seal you with this word today, that you celebrate your freedom. As it is written, stand fast, therefore, in the liberty where Christ has made you free, and be not entangled again with the yoke of bondage. He whom the Son sets free is free indeed. You shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. I call you into a free life, a blessed life, that you're able to pursue happiness with no fear or apprehension or sense of condemnation, knowing that you deserve a blessed life. You deserve abundant life. You live abundant life. You're going to have a wonderful rest of your day and a blessed, productive week. And you're going to wake up tomorrow saying, this is the day the Lord has enabled me to make. I will rejoice and be glad in it. God bless you. Go in peace. Mwah. Love all y'all.